Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention?
Great Scott! There's no crying in baseball!
You better hold on tight, Spider Monkey.
This is where the fun begins.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. That's right. We're ranking Inception. Inception is a 2010 science fiction action film. In the film, a skilled thief who steals secrets through shared dreams is offered a chance at redemption if he can pull off the impossible task of Inception. Now, this was a user-commented movie, so shout out my main man Blaze. Guy's got to get his own movie review channel because he's just got good taste. If you're here because you've never seen this movie and don't know if you should watch it, go watch it. Yes, you should watch it. Don't watch anything about it. This is one of the best movies to just go into blind and let the story be told to you the way it was meant to. Don't watch any trailers or anything. Don't let anyone ruin it for you. Just go watch it. I wish I could be you. I wish I could watch this movie for the first time again. It is a movie that you have to watch a couple times to really appreciate everything about it, but it is a fantastic film. It should be on everybody's top 100 movies for all time. I mean, it is absolutely just a great movie. Let's get into why with the 10 essential aspects of a movie. First is plot. Does the movie follow a comprehensive story arc and is plausible within the world that has been created? Personally, I think this is one of the best plots ever written. I really enjoy this story. I love when movies take the time and feel loved. They take the time to write a story that can be complicated, maybe is surrounded by a complicated idea, and rather than just having that idea carry the movie forward, they also pay attention to all the little details to make sure it makes sense. And really, as far as I know, there's not much for plot holes in this movie at all. They take the time to address all the things necessary and make sure the story follows those guidelines throughout. It's really enjoyable. It's one of those movies that you don't understand everything that's going on the first watch. You have to watch it again to really get everything that's going on because it's just revealed throughout the entire story. But when you watch it the first time and then watch it again, it's almost like you're watching two different movies because there's so much to see on the second watch that you just didn't notice in the first one because you didn't have the information quite yet. But the nice thing is it all makes sense. All of the characters do what they're supposed to do. They don't do anything that doesn't make sense to their character. You just didn't understand them yet. But they do everything they should on the first go around. Because sometimes movies like to throw in plot twists or give you information that you didn't know. And then you go back and watch it. And in the beginning, it's like, no, that character didn't do that or know that thing or didn't act in a way for me to feel like that had occurred. This movie doesn't do that. The details are there. They portray the same character throughout the whole thing. You just don't quite understand them yet. I really enjoy how much love was put into crafting this story. I also just find it incredibly interesting. I think it's a story that will just stand time as always being a concept that's talked about. Everyone references the idea of Inception, of a dream inside a dream, that comes from this movie, and it's really, really fun. I enjoy watching this movie several times over. It also is a movie that has a great ending, and that's a hard thing to do. A lot of directors have trouble. They'll make all these great ideas and do these great... I mean, I love Stephen King as a author, and I've read a lot of his books, but I'll be honest, he is known for not having great endings, and it's true. He has all these amazing ideas, but he doesn't know how to wrap it up in a good bow. He rarely ever does that. This is a nice movie that ends in a good way. I like the way it ends. It's perfect to the pace. It's perfect to how much of the story needs to be told. It's just, to me, very, very satisfying. And though it seems like an ambiguous ending, it really isn't. I think the details in the movie are there to show you what the truth is about the ending, but I like that it makes you think. That's one thing that this movie does that I really enjoy. It makes you think. You have to pay attention. You have to look at the details. You have to sit there and listen to the conversations, because if you don't, you'll be lost. And the rest of the movie won't make any sense. But if you take the time to pay attention and see all the little details, it's just really beautifully done. Like I said, it's one of the best stories ever told to me. Second is attraction. Does the movie have an interesting premise with a high entertainment value? Of course, I'm going to say it does. I love this story. I will watch it so many times. I don't mind that I've seen it a bunch already. It has so much rewatchability. That being said though, it is a movie that I don't necessarily have to think about as much now because I've seen it so many times. I know all the details, but I still love catching all of the little things that are said that could be completely missed, right? Like I would say in the beginning of this movie, one of the first things they do is when they wake up on the train, he has to leave. One of the comments he says is, "I don't like trains." And that seems totally silly, right? It doesn't mean anything. But when you've watched a movie already, it's an interesting line. It actually means something. It does say something about the character that's consistent with the end of the movie. And I enjoy catching those little things. So I could watch this movie 1,000 times. I really enjoy it. But there are going to be people that don't care about that stuff. They don't care. If you don't care about the details, if you don't like looking at movies as an art form and caring about having a movie that you have to sit there and think and figure it out and just process what's going on, you just want to, relax and not care, you're not going to like this movie. I do think the enjoyable aspect of this movie is the fact that you have to think, that you have to pay attention. And I don't think you're wrong for wanting a movie like that, but if you can handle it, if you can sit there and enjoy having to think about what's going on and be compelled to solve the mystery as the movie goes on, it is one of the best movies ever made, in my opinion. Like I said, it should be on every top 100 list. It's just a great idea that is executed really, really well. So I think a lot of people can enjoy this movie. Only people that wouldn't enjoy it are the ones that just don't enjoy solving a mystery and thinking during an entire movie. Third is theme. What message or truth is the movie trying to convey? Now, I'm not gonna sit here and act like I know what Christopher Nolan was going for in this movie. I think there's a couple things that point to concepts. One of them being the literal idea of Inception. They kind of harp on it a couple times in the movie. They talk about how it's the most powerful thing in the world. An idea can completely change and define you. It can put you on a totally new trajectory. And I think that that's true. The concept of if you were to decide, hey, I have the idea that if I run every day, I'm going to be healthier. So therefore, I want to do that. And that idea blossoms into you actually running every day, odds are you're actually gonna start changing other parts of your life. Maybe you'll start eating better. Maybe you'll decide not to drink as much. Maybe you'll decide to take medications or stop taking medications and evaluate your health more, go to the doctor more. Just that one idea can completely change your trajectory as a human being. You were going to be unhealthy, but now you're going to be healthy. You could apply that to so many things, even success, career, the idea that, hey, I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to prove my parents wrong. These ideas can completely change your whole life. And it's a very interesting concept. It's something that I think is very, very true and makes me think about my own life. And have I ever had any ideas that completely changed who I am? They redefined me just because of that one idea and the fact that I believed in it. It absolutely has happened. It's a really interesting concept that is thought-provoking. I don't know if he ever intended for it to be that deep, but I took it that way. I sit there, it's good enough. The story is interesting enough and relatable enough that I did that. There's also the Cobb story arc with the guilt and his wife. That's kind of the opposite end, right? Where you can have an idea about being healthier and it changes you for the better, but then you can also have an idea associated with guilt that is for the worst. It makes you worse. It consumes you and changes you in a bad way because you can't get over it. There's a lot of interesting concepts as far as what defines you and how your thoughts are impactful, how you feel about yourself, your own actions, or others' actions can completely change who you are. Like I said, I don't know if Nolan was ever really looking for it to be that deep, but the story definitely is compelling enough to have you think these things, and I think that's really interesting. I'm sure there's some themes that you guys have got out of it that I completely missed because I don't really feel it or haven't experienced something in life for that thing in the movie to capture my attention. So please, I'd love to hear your opinion. If you have any ideas on what the theme of this movie is, put them down in the comments below because I'd be really interested to hear what you thought Christopher Nolan was going for here. Fourth is dialogue. Is there a real feel to the conversations? I really enjoy the dialogue of this movie. One of the reasons I like it is it's consistent, right? There's a lot of movies that you might learn new information about that character about halfway through the movie, and then they start talking in a way or acting in a way that makes sense to you learning that information. But if you watch it again from the beginning, it doesn't feel like the same character because they weren't talking in a way because they talked in a certain way because you didn't know the information, but it wasn't consistent. This movie is not that way. You will not notice certain things that are said in the beginning because you don't know the information, but once you learn it and watch it again, the character never changes. They're consistent. They act as if that actually occurred to them, and they, of course, wouldn't change. But now it feels different because you know the information. And it's really fun. It's interesting. It gives the movie rewatchability, but it also gives the character a realistic feel. I like that. I enjoy being able to decipher why characters said a certain thing now that I have new information. And another thing that this movie does that's difficult is you have a concept that's new and you have to explain it, right? The idea of going into someone else's dreams or going into dreams within dreams. There's a lot of rules that come with that. What does that mean? What is the difference between the subconscious and the conscious? What is the difference between what I can and can't do as far as being an architect? What is an architect? Why is that a role? Why does everyone have a different role? How is time different from one dream to another dream? How can we go into a dream and then go into somebody else's dream while we're in that person's dream? Things start to get complicated, and there's a lot of rules that you have to establish. And I personally think it's written well enough that everything is explained and makes sense. And even it might take you a couple watches to figure that out, but it's all there. And it's not done in a way that feels condescending. It's not in a way that feels like, hey, dumb audience member, let me just break it down for you in a conversation that doesn't feel real just so you get what's going on. Every time the rules are explained, it makes total sense in the story that it's being talked about and being explained. And I enjoyed that. I enjoy that it doesn't just give it all to you right away. You have to figure some of it out through the conversations that take place in the movie, but all the conversations feel real. They feel natural. It feels like these people would be talking this way. And every character does feel unique. They talk in their own way and they all have different relationships. Even though there are parts of this movie that are not action-packed, it's very interesting because of the conversations that are going on. It's a well-written movie that feels like it had a lot of love, that Nolan was writing this and intending for it to make sense and not be patronizing to audience members and think they're stupid, but rather set it up in a way to where you can explain what you need to explain, but in a natural way that makes sense. It just seems like that he wrote it with a lot of love and care, and it's shown through how well the dialogue is said. Fifth is acting. Are the characters convincing? For the sake of time, I'm not going to sit here and go over every single crew member and their actor or actress. They all do a good job. The casting of this movie is really well done. They're all felt convincing. They felt like the characters they were portraying. No one feels out of place. They all feel unique and have good delivery of their lines. The only person I'm going to talk about is Leonardo DiCaprio. That being said, I don't think that this movie needed great acting, because the story carries it so much. It's an interesting, compelling story with great dialogue. Of course, bad acting is going to ruin any movie, but I don't think this movie needed great acting. It just needed good acting, but great acting does come out of it. And Leonardo DiCaprio is the only one that honestly gets scenes that really get to show off his acting skills. Maybe they're all just so small moments. Like maybe you could say Cillian Murphy at the end has his own moment where he kind of shows this emotion, and of course he kills it as well. I think Leonardo DiCaprio is just, there's a reason it feels weird if he's not the lead of the movie he's in. He's just so good. We all knew he was going to do great. Every movie that he is the lead in, he just does a fantastic job. He's one of the best to ever do it. And I don't think they utilize him completely. I think this movie isn't set up for that. It's not about the actors showing off. It's about the concept of the movie itself. But of course he just elevates it and makes it that much better. They all do, but in the scenes where, spoiler alerts, just go watch it, okay? If you've gotten this far and you still haven't watched, just go watch it, okay? the moment where she jumps, it just feels authentic. Like the gut-wrenching idea of just watching your partner kill themselves because they're convinced that things aren't real and it's your fault, and she's completely set you up to make it look like you're guilty. Like, oh, it's just gut-wrenching, and his response feels so real. It's so convincing. It's a short scene. It's not very long, but it's very compelling and brings so much to the character, and he performs it really well. At the end, when he's, you know, talking to her, saying, you know, you're just a shell of my wife. You're not real. I could never recreate all of her imperfections. He sells that moment, and she does a great job in all those moments too. I think Leonardo gets the most scenes to show off, and of course he does a great job. I will say that a lot of great actors, you know, it's kind of, you take for granted because they've been so great for so long and done so many great roles that you kind of forget how good they are because you just expect it. But really, he does elevate this movie in a fantastic way. 6 is cinematography. Is there a creative use of lighting, setting, and wardrobe to convey emotion? I think the movie looks great. One of the reasons is the fact that Christopher Nolan is a practical effects kind of director. So he doesn't have to worry about CGI as much because he tries to do everything he can in person. So it looks great and it will always look great. I think that this movie has a lot of fun settings. The idea of manipulating dreams is satisfying in this movie. They give you enough of it that it's fun and interesting and compelling to look at. I think everybody will probably have their own kind of favorite moments within this movie. You know, you have the common scene of her, you know, bending Paris in half, having cars and people walking above you. It's very interesting when she puts the mirrors together and makes the bridge. It's cool when they're at the fortress and all this snowy environment. It's so different than the rest of the movie. There's a lot of fun parts. I think my favorite part probably is the train that just comes barreling through the middle of the city. It just comes at such a great point in the story, and you've already learned some things that makes this section feel unique because you know other characters don't know why that's happening, but you know why it's happening, and it happens at a very pivotal moment. So there's a lot of fun parts of this movie. I think it's very creative and gives you enough to be satisfying for the premise that it's going for. As far as emotion, I don't know that this movie is going to be emotional for a lot of people. It's kind of hard to tell. For me, it is in the way that it's something that I care about. I mean, this movie is about a father just trying to get back home to his children. That's the entire arc of Cobb, is him dealing with his wife being dead, but ultimately trying to get home to his children. And the scenes that pull at your heartstrings are emotional for me. The idea of watching your wife kill herself because you implanted an idea in her brain. The guilt upon that is just so relatable in a sense. Like, I get that he feels just guilty. It's like, I would feel so guilty. And not only that, but she ruins your children's lives in you because she's trying to convince you to kill yourself with her, even though you know it's wrong, and there's nothing you can do to change her mind. Those moments to me are very impactful because if I put myself in his shoes, it'd just be so scary. It's such an awful thought. So for me, it definitely pulls emotion out of me every single time I watch it because of the situation it sets up. But I don't know that everybody would feel that way. 7th is editing. This is all about the pace of the movie. The movie is 2 hours and 28 minutes long. I will say every time this movie does feel long, mainly because the final act is pretty much half of this movie. The final heist, whatever you want to call it, is a very long section of this movie, and oftentimes I notice it every time I watch it. I feel like, wow, this has been going on for a long time. If you don't enjoy the concept of the movie, it's going to feel really, really long, and you're probably not going to like it. I love the movie and I still notice how long it is, so I can't imagine someone that doesn't love it. To me, it's a little long. It still warrants being long. I think there's a lot to tell, and I enjoy having so much of the movie to watch rather than being an hour 30. It is fun to me that it's 2 hours and 30 minutes because I just liked the movie, but it probably could have been maybe 2 hours and 15 minutes and been just as good. They just had, they had so much going on in the final act that maybe didn't need to be there, but I really don't mind because I love the movie. 8th is soundtrack. Hans Zimmer and John Williams are two of the greatest to ever do it. So Hans Zimmer does this soundtrack for this movie, all the music in the movie, and it's so good. And he's one of the reasons that made me believe, Hans Zimmer is one of the main reasons I ever learned the piano, because I just love his music so much. Inception is one of those movies that I enjoyed the music and wanted to know how to play it for myself because it just is so good. And this is one of those things where a lot of times it doesn't really matter. Movies use the same kind of music all the time. It doesn't help or hurt the movie. It just is what it is. But this is one of those movies where everything is just going so great, it's running so smooth, and the soundtrack just elevates it that much more. If this movie didn't have a great soundtrack, it'd still be a good movie. But it is the movie it is because it also has a great soundtrack that elevates all the scenes that it needs to. Hans Zimmer is one of my favorites. If he is the composer to a movie, I am probably going to notice and enjoy the music because I just think him and John Williams are fantastic at making movies memorable, because if you heard this soundtrack, you would know it's from Inception because it's that unique and that good. 9th is directing. Now I feel the director is in charge of the previous 8 aspects. They're the ones that have to put it all together, give it their stamp of approval, and make a really good movie. Now the director of this movie is Christopher Nolan, and this was his 7th film. The 7 total films that he had directed to this point were Following, Memento, Insomnia, Batman Begins, The Prestige, The Dark Knight, and finally Inception. He would go on to direct 6 more films after this. He's one of the most recognizable directors of all time. He is a renowned name for a reason. I think if I had to choose my favorite director ever, right now it would be Christopher Nolan. I think there's a lot of directors I'm ignorant of because I just wouldn't pay attention. I didn't care. It makes more sense now that once I started doing this and watching movies and figuring out, oh, I didn't like that movie and I also don't like the 10 other movies this person made. It makes more sense. It's like music. If you don't like a rapper, you're probably not gonna like the new music that they come out with. But if you do like somebody else, if they come out with a new album, you're probably gonna like it because you just like them. Movies are the same way. Pay attention to the movies you like and the directors that direct it, because odds are, if a movie's coming out and they're the director and you like their previous movies, you're probably gonna like their new movies too. That being said, before I cared about directors, I knew about Christopher Nolan because his movies were so good that I had to ask, who made this? Because it's so good. He's amazing. He is one of the best to ever do it. Even if you don't like him, I think you can watch his movies and appreciate the detail that he puts into it, the love and care to tell a good story, have cinematography, have it be entertaining. He is renowned for a reason, one of the best to ever do it. If you have not watched any of his films, please give him a chance. He is one of the best to ever do it for a reason. 10th is time. Will it stand the test of time? I can't believe it's actually, 26 years old at this point. It definitely has stood the test of time. I think it always will. Like I said, it should always be on the top 100. It's a fantastic movie. It should be archived. If it hasn't been, it's a movie that should be shown to aliens. If they ever come to know about film and want to know about film and art, it should be shown to them. It's just a great movie that will always be great. I think it's thought-provoking. I think it will be interesting to a lot of audiences. Doesn't matter where you're from or your history, you will probably find this movie interesting. It's one of the best ones to be made and should always be recognized so. Now for the review section. Rotten Tomatoes critics gives it an 87. The audience gives it a 91. And IMDb gives it an 88. Like I said earlier, not everybody is going to love it as much as I want them to. And I know the last section I said I think most people can watch it and recognize that it's a good movie, but not everyone is going to hold it on the pedestal that I do. I personally think that all of these are low. Even though they're high scores, I think I would probably at least put this movie at a 95. It's in that set. 95 to 100 to me is movies that if somebody came up to me and said, you haven't watched this movie, to me, it's yes, I'm talking about you, Dom, for not watching it. It's an emergency to go watch this movie. You need to watch this movie. If you've never seen it and you like watching movies, this is one that you have to watch. It's just a great movie. And I would probably keep it at about 95 because emotionally, I do think it's kind of subjective. I don't think everybody is going to find emotion in it. It just works well for me, but it's executed so well. So many parts of this movie are so entertaining and so good that it's a movie that to me you have to watch. If you haven't seen this movie, go watch it. Finally, for the rankings. For the year of 2010, it is the only movie I have reviewed, so it's going to be first in entertainment and cinematography. For the decade of the 2010s, out of 6 total movies, on the entertainment side, it is going to be third, just below The Martian and above Fury. I have it below The Martian, just the runtime. They're both actually pretty long movies, but I think The Martian is much more entertaining. I think more, like a general audience-wise, more people are going to enjoy that movie. You don't have to pay attention as much, especially if it's one of your first watches. You do have to pay attention or it doesn't necessarily make sense. It gets more entertaining the more times you see it. But I think if you're just going to put this on for a crowd of people, The Martian is going to be much more palatable and is still a really good movie that's entertaining. I do have it above Fury. Fury is kind of an intense movie. It's also a long movie. I just don't think it performs at the same level. I don't think it has the same rewatchability, even though I do like aspects of that movie and I would rewatch it. Inception, I actually think, is more interesting as a concept because Fury is a World War II movie that's been done before. Other movies have done it better. Inception is actually very unique, so I think you might actually draw more people's attention with Inception and people would enjoy watching it more. Now, cinematically, out of 6 total movies, it is going to be first above Hell or High Water. Hell or High Water is also a great movie, but it's not the same as Inception. I think Inception is just another tier. Hell or High Water hits a lot of the same notes, is an interesting story. I think does have pockets of emotion that I felt, has good dialogue. I like the way the dialogue explains the story. It's a really well-crafted movie that I had nothing to complain about. Inception is a movie that I have nothing to complain about, but also is great, like has extremely memorable moments that Hell or High Water doesn't have. These are just 2 very different movies to me. Inception is one that I would say you have to watch in your lifetime. Hell or High Water you don't have to watch, but if you want to watch a great movie, that is one to watch. Now, all time, out of 87 total movies on the entertainment side, it is going to be 29th, just below The Martian and above Wicked. I have it above Wicked just because that's a musical. It's a very long movie. I think that movie's like 2 hours and 40 minutes. It's also a musical. I think that's the biggest hindrance to me. There's a lot of fun to be had with Wicked. I think it's like a fun story. It's very bright. There's a lot to take away that I think they did well. There is good acting. The singing is at a professional level, but you have to like musical. And I think odds are that Inception is just going to be more approachable than Wicked on a general audience. Now, all time, out of 87 total movies on the cinematic side, it is going to be first above Hell or High Water. It's going to be a little bit, I think, that this one's going to reign at the top because this is just one of the best movies ever made for me. I think it will, like I said, it should always be in the top 100. It is so memorable. It should be vaulted and remembered as a piece of art. It's just really well done. I don't think there's much to complain about for me personally. Now, I could see how other people could complain about it, but for me, I think on an objective level, it does hit everything really well. If the story is not interesting enough to you, then you may find some pacing issues, but overall, I just think it's a fantastic movie that takes elements and just throws them up and sets a new level, sets a new standard as just being a great film. And Hell or High Water and Down, these movies just don't do that. There's some great movies on the top of my cinematic list, but this one is just like a recognizable one that if you really enjoy movies, you should have watched this movie already. Okay, that's all I've got to say about Inception. Obviously, very clearly, one of my favorites, probably some bias there because It is a type of movie that I really, really enjoy. I love the concept. If you have seen it and you didn't enjoy it, please tell me why. Put down below, put a comment. I'd love to hear some opinions. You're never wrong. It's art, right? I mean, some people aren't going to like this movie. I'm sure there's people that probably think it's really boring and totally overrated. And I'd be really interested to hear why. If you did watch this movie and you did love it, please tell me why you love it. Why do you think it's great? I love having people comment, have some interactions. The whole reason I started this channel was so I could talk to other people who also love movies. Would you have placed it anywhere else on my list? You can check out my Letterboxd that has my full list on it. But otherwise, comment a movie that you want me to review and I will get to it just like this one. But otherwise, I'm Mr. Majoritarian. Stay classy, San Diego.